Yeah, as an Afro-Latino, as a Black Latino, this is very important to me because I think the future of food for everyone is tied to the collective well-being of Blacks and Latinos. Hi everyone, my name is Brian Ovalles, and I'm in my feelings about the future of food. My family's from the Dominican Republic. My family's from a town where farming is the norm. And like so many of us, whether you're coming from Mexico or Venezuela or Colombia, Chile, Argentina, so many of us come from that type of background. But when we get here, we're not consuming the food. And we're bombarded. There's noise around what type of food you should be eating. But the reality is that food is not designed for us to succeed. It's not designed around our bio-individual needs, which it needs to be. My journey started back in New York City, which is where I'm from. I was walking down 116th Street in East Harlem, looking for a healthy place to eat. I had dietary needs, restrictions that I had to deal with, and I couldn't find anything. And what made matters worse, I walked by the local Burger King and saw that they were taking EBT benefits. And at that point, I made this connection. We've institutionalized chronic disease. And at that point, my world kind of started to make sense in a new way. I remembered my stepfather who passed away at 29 years old from a food-induced heart attack. It was my first funeral. And now I'm realizing that really our food systems and our communities are designed to work against us and keeping us perpetually sick. So at that moment, I decided to really go on a long journey to uncover the truth about what's happening. And I uncovered the tie between food systems and climate change and realized that 33% of our impact on climate is actually derived from the way that we grow, we cultivate, we transport, and we consume food. And so making all these ties, I'm now grateful to be part of a team that's growing and making sure that we create the solution of the future, a solution that is encompassing, a solution that helps people of all backgrounds, especially people who've been underserved and neglected, to make sure that they have the tools that they need to succeed. I think Oakland is an amazing space for cultural diversity, activism, and also food innovation. And I see this being a strong starting place for what we're working on. With regards to food and food innovation, a lot of it has to do with culture and helping people either overcome or adopt or transition the way that they're thinking about their food in a way that still feels familiar and still feels like your home. And so when we think about food and making it not just healthy, but delicious, and thinking about how we're making those decisions, that it's something that people feel is connecting them and building that connection through food. And with the Black and Brown community here, I think it's incredibly important for us to really create that bridge. When it comes to availability of food, it's really people of color and low-income people just being in situations where you're either in a notorious food desert or in a food swamp, and they're two completely different things. So a food desert is a place with very little access to fresh food and produce. It feels like a shanty town or a town where you have, one store maybe, very little restaurants, and you have to travel a significant distance in order to get to that food. So it's built with a disincentive already created. And you can also toss a lot of rural areas into that same boat, but at least they grow the food there in a lot of cases. Now with a food swamp, you have an abundance of food that is going to work against you. So that's where you find a lot of fried food places and Americanized food that's just in every other corner. And at a place like New York, in a dense urban center, you're likely to find that type of scenario. Being undernourished is really about calorie count and having enough food. And there are obviously populations that are suffering. They have to be treated differently. I would say a much larger population is also suffering from malnourishment, which is when you're not getting the correct nutrients that you need to operate. The problems that we've really identified and honed in on at TOM are, one, loneliness. Like, food can be a very lonely journey, and you feel like you have to fight this uphill battle on your own. Accessibility, whether that's price or distance, it's all, the logistics and the price per calorie that we've assigned to food for mass-produced food. And then the last one, which is incredibly important, is misinformation, which is you have a lot of competing information, a lot of information accessible to you on any given search. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's information that's correct for you. That's where we want to make a statement, so that people have the right information when they need it, how they need it, so that they can succeed, not just for themselves, but for their communities and for their families. Different people have different bio-individual needs, whether they're combating hereditary issues or generational trauma through food, or they're looking to make the next big leap in how they're going to optimize their food for their performance. I mean, people are coming from different stages and walks of life, and so their journey is customized to that on TOM. And essentially, you'll feel like having a Spotify for healthy food. Yeah, as an Afro-Latino, as a Black Latino, this is very important to me because I think the future of food for everyone is tied to the collective well-being of Blacks and Latinos, and us working together to make a future that's collectively going to help us to be on the path to not just heal, but to become the best version of the human race that we're going to be, and also be collective participants in the future of climate wellness and the Earth's wellness. So me being Black and Latino, I feel like gives me a unique vantage point because I've seen both plights. I've seen both experiences when it comes to food and access and just misinformation and being not in a space where you can succeed, whether you're at a family party or whether you're in a food desert or a food swamp trying to navigate it. These are things that I've seen and have connected with people firsthand and understand that there are so many cultural undertones that are diverse that are contributing to this reality. My name is Brian Ovalles, and I am the CEO and founder of TOM, and I'm in my feelings about the future of food.